Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Or when I say joining us, I guess I mean me for another lockdown live stream. I told my patrons the other day that I wanted to do more for them. And so some of the things that we're doing is I'm recording Francis de Sales' meditations, putting beautiful chant behind it. They're getting that. I'm doing this little story called Barry Baxter and the End of the World, recording him as podcasts. I told him I'd do this, answer their questions. We're floating around a few ideas. So before I get to their questions and then yours here on Patreon, I wanted to, g'day Crusader Gin. Yes, it is Maddie Fraddy. I wanted to, by the way, my wife's going to be here in a minute. She's going to sit next to me. So I better smoke as much of this as I can before she gets here. I want to run an idea by you guys, see what you think. How many of you saw my interview with Cameron Bertuzzi from Capturing Christianity? Speak of the devil, there he is. Well, he's here in the live chat. So me and Cameron have an idea. I wanted to run it by you guys, see what you think. Nothing's set in stone yet, but we're thinking about the possibility of him and I getting together once a month and having a discussion about a different topic on having to do with Catholicism and Protestantism. We might get together and discuss why Catholics go to confession. And another month might be just on purgatory. Another month might be on the Pope or the Eucharist or things like that. And so this is something we want to do. It's just a friendly discussion. Neither Cameron nor I are pretending to be like titans of our particular positions. Cameron is an evangelical Protestant. I'm, of course, a Catholic. So that's what we're thinking of doing. So love to get your comments below and then here if you want. And that'd be sweet. Again, and it's just nice to have two people who respect each other. Like Cameron's an amazing guy, loves his wife, loves his kids, virtuous man. The stuff he puts out is unbelievable. And I just have a lot of respect for him. And he's a good D&D player. So, well, it's his first time ever. So he was okay, but he did turn into a were-rat. Okay, that's not the point of this discussion. I want to go through some of the questions here. And then we'll get to some of your questions. All right, and this comes from my patrons here. Christian, oh man, Uragutia says, what is the necklace that you wear? Is it a brown scapula? No, sorry about the taco meat there. No, I wear a crucifix around my neck. This has a lot of meaning to me. I bought this about a year ago, and I went through a really rough patch where I had to have some really serious surgery, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever been through in my life. And I know pain is relative, but believe me, I had like major surgery and then major complications. And during that time, we were releasing this thing called strive21.com, which is a 21-day detox from porn course. It's actually up. You can go do it if you're a bloke who struggles with porn, you want to find freedom, go to strive21.com. We've got about 13,000 men going through the program right now, but it was just launching as I was going through all this. And I just felt absolutely awful. And by God's grace, I would just kiss this crucifix whenever I was in a tremendous amount of pain. And I would just say, I'm offering this up for the men who are going through that course. And I didn't feel virtuous or holy or, pious or anything like that. It was just something that I could do. And so that's what I wear around my neck. Daniel says, any recommendations for websites to get icons from? Remind me, and I'll put a link down in the show notes. I would get it from like an Orthodox monastery. There's one called like Holy Something Family. If any of you know about it, let me know. I would not recommend getting it from that group. I'm not going to say anything about them. I'm just going to leave it at that. If any of you know, let me know in the comments section. Holy Catholic Monastery, it might be called. Sorry, I'm doing this all on the fly. I haven't read the questions ahead of time. So Job, probably Job, maybe Job, I don't know, says, do you have a morning prayer ritual by yourself or is it also familial? If either of the two is the case, what is it? So this morning I prayed the Angelus with my boys and my wife. We just got up, stood in front of our icon corner, prayed the Angelus. But usually I do have a morning prayer rule, and it's like Eastern morning prayer. It takes about 10 minutes. I'm all about quick, simple, and meaningful. If it's too long, I'm likely to give up. Yes, there we go. Most Holy Family Monastery. That might be it. I'm not sure. All right. Hey, love.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm just answering some questions.
Oh, you want me to join you? Or
sure, yeah. Do you mind if I just want to get some of these questions? Some of them might be for you as well.
You're fine.
All right. I know you two have spoken about how financially unstable you were at the beginning of your marriage, but could you give some advice on financial readiness for marriage? Looking at young families, it seems like you need to have a lot of money and a large emergency fund. Baby, this is all you.
Yeah, I'm more the finance. So Dave Ramsey, highly recommend him. He's great. And Rachel Cruz, if you're not familiar, look them up. They're amazing and wonderful. We actually did a Dave Ramsey course, Financial Peace University, probably a few years into our marriage, like 3 years in. And they talked about an emergency fund. And they said the first thing you need to do is put away $1,000. And we laughed. And I was like, how would we ever be able to put away $1,000? Like that was so unheard of. We were... and paying off debt and trying to pay off debt. And I remember I was able to put $37 towards our debt. So I legit put $37 towards our debt. And it was mainly me. I had student loans, but we eventually paid it off. $37 at a time, we paid it off. And same with getting the $1,000 emergency fund. We probably had 3 babies by the time we got our emergency fund for just the $1,000, which is like a baby step. And then eventually it says 3 to 6 months of expenses. But we didn't get like a 3-month emergency fund until we had 4 kids. So this whole, like, you need to have that before you have kids. Is that smart? Yes. Did we do that? No. Did God provide? Yes. Like we definitely were in situations that we couldn't afford. Actually, we even lived for moments where like we couldn't afford basic needs, like the roof over our head and food. And God provided. People were beautiful and lovely, and He provided.
I've got to tell them that story about the turkey. Love the story about the turkey. I've told this before, but yeah, Cameron and I couldn't afford meat for a long time. We would just get beans and,
I cooked a lot of lentils and
things like
beans
that.
and rice. That was the bulk of our diet.
Can I just pause and say how much better looking you are than me? Have a look at that. Look at you. You're gorgeous. Bloody hell. I got to tell you, I love you more. Look at this. Yeah, I remember there was this, we couldn't afford meat and I was just really bummed about it, and I remember once Cameron, we had a friend, what was her name? Peggy Doucette. She wouldn't mind me saying. She comes over and she's like, hey, there was a 2-for-1 special on turkeys, so I bought you one. I was so moved.
And I didn't tell her like that week. We had a fight one night.
Did we?
That Matt kept saying, I'm sick of like what you're making. You need to, because I would make dinner and I'd literally have 1 chicken breast and split it between the 4 of us.
I was probably upset with myself because I was the one bringing in the money and couldn't,
But I was the one buying the groceries. You were upset with what I was making. Like, can you not just make like a chicken breast vegetable, starch? And I'm like, no, I can't, because the budget doesn't allow that. So anyhow, we had a fight. A couple days, like it was either the next day or 2 days later.
She comes in and she brings a turkey, and I was so grateful. And when she left, I had tears in my eyes. I was just so moved by it, and I just thought how beautiful that was. But it's funny, if someone brought me a turkey now, I'd be like, what the freak? I don't want to. Where am I going to put a turkey? Why would you? I probably wouldn't do that. I'd be grateful, but anyway.
No, are you kidding? We wouldn't need to go to the store, and we'd be appreciative for that. But no, back then it was massive.
Catherine A. Oliveri says, what is the best daily missal to buy to help follow the Latin Mass? We don't know because we don't go to a Latin Mass. I know Angela.
No hablo Latino.
Yeah. So I think Angela's Press has some good stuff. You'll have to ask Taylor Marshall. I don't know. Keaton Lambert says, any chance of getting Dr. Anthony Esselin on Pints with Aquinas in the future? You'd previously shared his interest with us about coming on. I'd love to hear a long form. Oh, mate, Keaton, let me tell you, I would love to have Dr. Anthony Esselin on. He is absolutely amazing. I did reach out to him. He wrote back and said he'd be very interested, but then he hasn't responded since. And look, if I was him, I wouldn't respond to me either. He's so much cooler than me. So I don't know. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he's sick. But I'd love to have him on. But he hasn't.
Write to him.
Tell him. Bug him. All right, let's see here. Margot Basso says, I know you said that you have assistants who run Twitter. But was it actually you tweeting this morning about the Iranian Instagram madness? All right, yeah, it was. So what happened was I took over Twitter for a couple of days, and within the first couple of hours, I called someone a bastard.
I was laughing at that, Margot.
I felt terrible.
Said too.
Felt bloody terrible about it.
No, you weren't calling an individual.
No,
you were calling the guy who hacked your account.
Someone hacked my Instagram account, and I said, the bastard. But you have to understand, Americans.
He's been a
when an American says he's a bastard, like that sounds like, oh man. But think of it more through an Aussie accent. I was like, nah, it was the bloody bastard who stole my thing. It's just a lot more casual. I don't wish him any ill will. May God bless him. For those of you who don't know, my Instagram account has been hacked. So there you are.
God bless him after he stops stealing and writing on Instagram.
All right.
But another thing, just
Yes.
in defense of you with the
Right.
Aussie bastard thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever heard that word. Like, I may have heard that word used once in my entire life. Prior to going to Australia, and the person that I heard it from, like the first time in its setting, Matt's mom actually was like, so it was either your mom or dad. I can't. One of his parents was like, "You like our little bastard?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh."
All right. So it's a bit different.
It's no. What I mean is, it's more like, it's
Cash.
not as, it's more cash. It's like little bugger.
Margot also says, also any chance of getting Michael Knowles on Pints with Aquinas? Possibly. I've actually interviewed Michael Knowles, and it is an episode for my patrons. So if you go to patreon.com/MattFrad, click on the audio library tab, you can listen. We've had an hour discussion on politics and capitalism and Democrats and things like this. You might enjoy it. If you're a patron, go check it out, or if you want to listen to it, become a patron. So yes, I was on Twitter today. I did that massive anti-pornography thread. If you saw
Yes, it was very good.
Did you see that?
I did. Yep. It was great.
Crushing it. Take that, Pornhub. All right, let's see this. Olivia says, maybe you've already done an episode on this and I missed it, but have you ever considered doing an interview or episode on Christology and Aquinas' thoughts? I've had a lot of conversations with people on this, and sometimes it feels like varying priests have different takes on what exactly Jesus knew and didn't know. Okay, so let me just pause right here and say I definitely have done one. It was with Father Dominic Legg. I'm not sure if I could find it right away, like here. So if you go to pintswithaquinas.com and type in Legge, like Legg, Dominic Leggs, his last name, Father Dominic. We did one all on Christology. I think in particular it may have been on the Transfiguration. So go check that out. Oh man, this is fun. Reggie Lovero or Levero anyway, says, hey, Matt and Cameron, glory to Jesus Christ. Any recommendations on solid Catholic homeschooling programs in California? I know your kids attend Regina Caeli, correct? My wife and I live in the Central Valley and didn't see a Catholic hybrid program in our area. Any suggestions would be great.
Yeah, when I was in California, actually, I wasn't part of like a set homeschooling group. We lived in San Diego, and there were just amazing, beautiful homeschoolers. And everyone used different curriculums. Everyone did their own thing, but they were just amazing, beautiful women that helped each other out. And I actually interviewed on Among the Lilies, Erica Sanchez. She's this wonderful, beautiful woman, and we talk about homeschooling. And I don't know what episode it was, but you can find it on Among the Lilies. And we didn't need a hybrid. We had this one woman who did, what did she call it? She did a farm thing. She had a farm. She had chickens, and she did music farm. That's it. She did a music farm at her house, and it was like for preschool, early elementary kids. And the kids got all into it. They loved it. We had someone else that would do ballet. The older kids would teach ballet. So find someone. Like ask around the church, find someone that homeschools and ask them, and then get plugged in. And then I also had great friends that weren't Catholic, that were just evangelicals that homeschooled, that I had great support and community, and I didn't need a hybrid. It worked just as well.
I'm also wondering if any of you were praying that all of America would begin homeschooling.
This is true.
If that's why we have the coronavirus. Thanks for your good intentions, but you can stop now. No, I think these last few days have been so lovely. Just not getting in a car. I was just down, out the back of our house with the kids playing around. I just thought this is a real, in some ways, a blessing. Now, I know it's a terrible thing for many people, and in general, obviously, a virus spreading through, different parts of the population is terrible. But, we're learning to slow down, and maybe you are too. And I think that's been a good thing. And I think to your question about homeschooling, I'm going to keep going back to this. I had Dr. Andrew Swafford on my show. The episode is coming out next on Pints with Aquinas. Just interviewed him. He said he's convinced that if all you did was read good books to your kids on the couch, that they would end up head and shoulders above those who go to public school.
There's a great podcast. Sorry.
No, you're right, love.
There's a great podcast called The Read Aloud Revival. I think she actually lives in California and homeschools. There's a great homeschool conference that's done every year in California. They do them all over the country. But if you can get plugged into one thing like that, she Read Aloud Revival. Her name's Sarah McKinsey. I'm going to hopefully have her on Among the Lilies. Maybe you motivated me to really get her on. But she's lovely, has great advice. And it's all about reading good books. And I was trying to keep up with our curriculum the first few days and trying to do these conference calls and kind of getting stressed. And to be honest, the last couple of days, we've just been getting math done every day, and we've been reading. and that's it. And it's been great. And the kids are still going over their poems and stuff, but I've let some of the other things go. I'm like, I don't know if we're going back or not, but the stress level that this is adding,
I'd put
it's
money
just not
on
worth
we
it.
won't be going back this year for sure.
So my kids may not be as good in Latin next year, but that's okay.
All right. Michael Linda says, now again, keep in mind, I've not read these. Several times in the Gospels, Jesus says, I am, and the people are taken aback. It is blasphemy. Given that I am is the tetragrammaton, I'm wondering what the Jews at the time said when they were asked, are you a Jew? That's a really good question. Or another question to which the answer is I am. Oh, you'll have to ask somebody more intelligent than me. I'm not sure. I think, there's probably, most certainly, I would imagine, times in the gospel where the phrase I am is used, but I would suspect that the context plays a big difference. Jimmy Akin used an analogy back that I really like. He said, if I say to you, put the kitty on the table, what do I mean? Well, if I'm at a poker game, I mean something much different than if I'm at a veterinarian clinic. And so the context is gonna provide some of the clarification. So, for example, when Jesus says, I am the vine, I'm not sure if anyone thought that he was making a claim to divinity there, but I'm not sure what the Greek or the Aramaic would have been. Sorry. Jesus Lopez says, what do you like about yourself? Go on, Cami. I don't know. I like lots of things about myself.
I love your singing voice. I love that you love leading our family in prayer, and I love your curly hair, and I love your sense of humor and that you could make me laugh, and I love that you love me, and I love so many things about you. I don't know. That's just so.
Thanks.
Okay.
I think he was asking what I like about me.
What you?
No, but I was really glad. It was really nice. I was actually asking you what you liked about you when I said that. That's very nice. Okay. Brian Batko says, what influence is Mary credited with on the writings of the New Testament? Many of the things written could only have been known by her, such as Joseph having the dream to flee Egypt. It's a good question. From the little research I've done on it, which isn't a great deal, my understanding is that people suspect that Luke may have sat down with the Blessed Mother and learned from her all about the angel visiting her and the nativity. So there you go. Maybe that's the case. Sorry, I don't know more about that. Amber says, and then we'll get to your questions on YouTube. So you've been very patient.
Sorry, YouTube. Patreon comes first. They pay the bills.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you're on both, ask questions over there.
Hi, Matt and Cameron. What type of Byzantine church do you go to? Ruthenian. You and Trent Horn definitely gave me the wonder to try it out, and I couldn't be happier there. Oh, good on you. What do you love most about the Eastern Church? What do you think that the Western Church could take from the East to improve? Obviously, we have no right to judge the church, either side, but just, yeah, right. I don't know. I personally love... I love icons. I mean, icons can be poorly written, but there's a lot of statues that I think it's a lot easier. Generally speaking, statues can be a little cheesier than icons, in my experience. Obviously, statues can be absolutely beautiful, but there's a lot of kind of cheap, crappy, mass-produced statues.
Yeah.
Whereas with icons, if they're mass-produced, they're a print of something beautiful, so they aren't going to look less weird. So there's a lot of beauty to icons that I think that the West has and is continuing to learn more from. And then finally, just the Jesus prayer.
Yeah, I was going to say Jesus prayer. And then also the less uptightness. Like, I feel like there's
Wow.
No, I think
that's all right.
In my experience, and maybe it's just me that's less uptight. Like, maybe I'm not saying everyone, but for me personally, I feel like oftentimes I find a freedom in the East that I didn't find when I was in certain parishes. Different parishes are very different, but having kids, like if my little ones need a break, I felt like it wasn't a big deal for me to leave the church, and I didn't have to go sit in a cry room and be secluded and be like, you're not allowed to be a part of this. And I didn't have to go out in the foyer and not participate at all. There's a beautiful little icon room, and I just go in there. And I feel like there's chanting, and there's like, I feel like it's more natural to like sway with the baby on your hip or bounce with them. We went to a beautiful church in San Diego that I loved. It was wonderful. I never stayed in the pew with my family. I was always in the back with the baby because I had a baby, and I'd bounce up and down, but I was separate, where I feel like in the Byzantine, I'm able to stay in the pew, even if I had a baby. I don't have a baby right now, but if I did and they were distracting, I could refocus them and get them. And like, I feel like them moving isn't as, I feel like people are less likely to give you like evil stares and glares.
In the Eastern, in the Divine Liturgy, because 95% of it's chanted, there's not a lot of time for silence, which some people don't like, which is fair enough. But, if you got kids and they play up a little, it's a little more difficult to hear them because we're all chanting. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. And even we have some really long liturgies, like right now when we're in the time of the Great Fast, like liturgy could be like 2 hours, or like we had an older priest that was doing it last year. It was like 2.5 hours. And so my kids definitely got antsy, but they're like, hey, can I go to the icon room? And we go to the icon room and we kiss icons and we try to stay focused. And I like that. And then I love the Jesus prayer. I feel like even just breathing and just saying, Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. It's a much easier prayer, and I don't feel like my ADD works with it a lot better.
Yep. All right. I'm going to do 3 more questions from Patreon. I'm going to answer these really quickly. Then we're going to get to your questions over at YouTube. Jeffrey and Miranda says, with Mass at home this Sunday, which Mass will you be watching? Is it appropriate to have a name to our domestic church? I'm not going to be watching Mass. I think that's good for you if you like it. I'm not going to do it. Are you going to do it?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Tonight, I'm going to lead our family in the Akathis to Mary prayer. It takes about half hour. There's going to be candles. There's going to be incense. It's going to be fantastic. The kids are going to be falling asleep on the couch. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, good for you. I think Bishop Robert Barron is celebrating Holy Mass and is recording it. Knowing him, it'll be really great film quality and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. 2 more questions real quickly. What's your favorite podcast that is not hosted by you or Cameron? I tend to listen to Ben Shapiro and Catching Foxes.
Yes, that's a hard question. I like Matt Walsh. And then I also like Abiding Together. I think that they do a great job. I go through like different seasons. There's this new girl I'm listening to, Minimalish. I don't know. I occasionally, people will send me one and I'm just like, oh, this is what I'm listening to. And I kind of go through a season. This Minimalish girl got me to clean out my closet, which was great, and organize my bedroom and give like 5 bags to Goodwill. So that was helpful. But I may be over her. I'm moving on to someone. Oh, no. You know what I love is that, the guy, and it's all about healing and
places we find ourselves.
The places we find ourselves. I like that one too.
All right, final question from Patron. Do you prefer Eastern monasticism or Western? I don't really have a preference. If you were to become a monk, what would I become? Oh, probably an Eastern monk. All right, well, that does it for our questions from Patreon, so thank you. Hey, you've probably been seeing this gorgeous stein that I'm holding here.
Where can I get one?
I'll tell you where you can get that. If you become a patron at patreon.com/MattBrad, not only will you get a lot of bunch of free content, signed books, beer steins, stickers sent to your door, you'll also get access to we're doing all this video content that's only available to patrons. We're about to do a 7-part video series on the great books of the Western canon, and we're going to have someone in the comment section going back and forth with you. We're tentatively planning something on Augustine's Confessions with a prominent sort of professor who teaches that. Just a lot of free content, and you get to ask your questions first on this, and I mean that's a great reason. All right, so now thank you very much.
Wait, were you not going to do any YouTube questions?
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. That's what I was about to do. So let's take some questions from you wonderful, beautiful people here on the YouTubes. Nathan Lass says, who in your family, if anyone, has the hardest time of adapting to the Eastern Church?
Our oldest.
Our oldest, yeah.
Because I think he was already kind of, like, he had already had his first Holy Communion. He was just more set in the Roman Rite, and he misses it. He misses his friend.
Holy Mass is celebrated ad orientem, a lot of Latin incense. It's gorgeous, and so yeah, it's fantastic.
They get both.
Also, I think the Eastern liturgy is longer, so I think that's probably another reason he finds it difficult.
Yeah.
Kyle Myers says, should I avoid getting married and possibly having kids while in college? I've heard that having kids isn't as expensive as made out to be. Is this true? I personally think you should get married as soon as possible, Kyle. If there's a beautiful woman that you know of that you're dating, you should marry her tomorrow, and stop letting fear hold you back.
Or you can get engaged and have a bigger wedding and
forget the wedding
a little bit. No,
don't do the wedding.
Just you, her, and the priest. That's all you do.
Just have a marriage soon. Stop paying for marriage weddings.
Yeah, I would.
Little wedding. Have a bloody look.
Backyard
You're welcome.
reception.
Now, this is really quality content you're about to hear. If you're out there and you're planning a wedding, here's what I want you to do. Something beautiful, something simple, something traditional. Don't have a bunch of friggin' bridesmaids and groomsmen like we did.
Hood
and
ornaments is what Father Bill called
hood
them.
ornaments. And then you're going to have a food truck come to somebody's back house, and everyone's going to drink margaritas.
Backyard by back house.
Backyard is what I mean. And just hire a band. That's beautiful. Don't spend a lot of money and do it soon. Get married soon, I think. Now, obviously, there's got to be a period of discernment. But as Father Bob Bedard said, since discernment has become fashionable, no one's made a decision since. So better to get married young as opposed to like dating someone for years and then fornicating with them.
And you guys can be poor together through college. It's not a big deal.
Is that
Eat
too
a lot
much?
of yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great.
Right, let's see. What other questions do we have here? Hey, Matt, love the show. Have you ever read the Gulag, Archipelago? No, I haven't read that. But I did read A Day in the Life of, what's his name? Denisovich, some Russian bloody book, I think written by the same author. It's fantastic. It's an easier read. Hi, Matt. Question for you or Cameron. What kept you going, waiting for your spouse? I write letters to my future bride. Whoa, what a dude. You're awesome. Good job, Joshua.
You're going to find one, no problem, Joshua.
Absolutely, mate. No worries. He says, I'm 17. Did you ever feel crazy having profound feelings about your bride? Well, I didn't really have profound feelings about her prior to meeting her. But when I met her, I had a lot of profound feelings, and I didn't feel crazy about those.
Yeah, I think that be smart, discern, pray, wait. I think the biggest thing you can do is, the whole 2 half people don't make a whole marriage, 2 whole people make a whole marriage. Like, become the best man that you can be to provide for her, to support her, to love her, and get your identity from God first and foremost, so that when you do meet her, you don't try to cling and be like, tell me who I am, and I've been waiting for you forever. Yeah, that's my advice.
Very nice. Cameron, what was the sweetest thing Matt did for you other than marrying you?
Aww.
Says Nathan Lass. Thanks, Nathan. Your check's in the mail.
So many sweet things. Early on when we were dating, Matt would mail me mixtapes.
Oh, did I?
Do you not remember?
Probably mixed CDs.
No, you
Really?
did mixed tapes, because one of my teens had a tape player in their car. I didn't have a tape player. No one had a tape player. And one of my teens had an old car, and he let me, he would pull up so I could hear it. And we had like a coffee shop at our church, and he'd pull up his car, and I'd put the tape in his tape player, and we rolled down the window so I could listen to all the songs. And it was
very nice of me.
Very sweet.
Nicholas Reed says, have you ever attended the Latin Mass? Why don't you attend that instead of the Eastern? We have attended the Latin Mass. We used to live in San Diego. We went to an FSSP parish for 2 years or so.
It was great.
Loved
We
it.
loved it.
Why don't we go now? Well,
It's really far
it's
away.
about an hour and 20 minutes away. That's one reason. And secondly, we've just come to fall in love with the Eastern liturgy. Maybe if the Latin Mass was 10, 20, half hour up the road, maybe we wouldn't have ended up going to a Byzantine church. But there you are. Let's see. Stephen Seymour says, is there any books on being an educator in the classical Catholic tradition that you'd recommend? I know there's a bunch, but I just don't know enough. Sorry, mate. How are you guys dealing with the crisis? Says, what do you reckon? We're doing all right. I'm smoking a cigar.
Pulling his hair out.
Out on the back deck. Things are pretty good.
When it's raining and we're all stuck inside.
Notre Dame and different universities.
Actually, you're supposed to be in Texas right now.
Speaking in Austin and things like that. And
Sorry,
obviously a bunch of
Austin.
those got cancelled. I was supposed to go to Italy to lead a pilgrimage with my Pints of Aquinas followers, but it looks like they might be cancelling that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's certainly some things that have been very difficult, but I've just really enjoyed staying at home and reading, praying, smoking,
Doing gardening.
writing, hanging out.
I bought you more mulch too, by the way.
Good. It's a good mulch.
I bought you good mulch. Kroger had it. I didn't even have to go inside. I was getting gas at Kroger, and they're selling mulch at the gas pump.
Paulina P says, favorite comfort foods? Favorite comfort foods?
Oh, that's a hard one during Lent. I'm getting rid of all sugar, and I have stomach issues, and I had a sip of, what was it, your bourbon?
Yeah.
And I had tons of issues.
I just want to say hi to Jenna
can't
Wilson and do a
comfort things.
particular shout out to you, Jenna. I just want to say you are fantastic. I love all your comments on Patreon. They always make me happy, and you're just beautiful. And thanks for all your comments. I'm sorry your first ever pilgrimage was cancelled.
Aw.
All right, Michael
another
Brannigan
one.
says, what are y'all going to talk about with the guys from Catching Foxes tonight? Okay, so this interview with Catching Foxes, I think, is going to be a patron-only interview. So if you're a patron of Catching Foxes or a patron of mine, you'll get to hear it probably tonight or tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be public, but I think we're just going to talk very candidly about what's going on and how we feel about it and what we might be learning from it.
Can I listen to this? Am I part of this?
No, you're not part of it now.
Man.
Love the show, Matt.
They're
Have you
sexist.
ever
You hear
read
that?
Bridgehead Revisited? No, when it comes to prayer, and often fail. The longer, the better. How do I get in the mindset that even 10 minutes can be enough? That's a beautiful question, David. I really am a sprint guy. I have a short attention span. I can't sit through a movie. I'm just not good at things like that. So I think coming up with a realistic rule of prayer. So you might pray the Angelus at 12 and set your alarm. Just do something like that. And then in the morning, if you just maybe kneel down and offer 3 Hail Marys. That's it. And then at night, just do a little examination of conscience. Start there. I think start small. Don't underestimate how weak you are. Take for granted that you're weak, that in some ways you're pathetic, and then base a prayer on that, on the fact you're pathetic. I'm serious, because I'm a bit pathetic too. And, as opposed to coming up with these big grandiose rules of prayer in a time of great enthusiasm and not following through and then hating yourself for it. I don't know if that's a good idea.
And I also think that if you can tie it to you wake up every morning. So that's easy to be like, okay, every morning when I wake up, I'm doing this. If you're not.
What do you do in the morning?
Oh, I'm horrible in the morning.
I'm not saying you're horrible. I'm just asking, what do you do?
I'm really bad. Well, this morning we did the Angelus. Normally.
My wife was laying in bed while we did the Angelus.
I prayed it as well. From under the covers, yes, but I still prayed it. The rest of my family was in front of the icon wall. Yes, I am not a morning person.
Right.
But I also don't beat myself up over it. And most mornings, if you ask who had a better morning prayer, I probably be like, mine was great. And I'm not conscious. I'm like, amen. And
Chris
he's doing all the bowing and the prayers. But also, you go to bed every night or lunch. Every day at lunch, you say this. So if you could tie it to something like that.
Right. Chris Spencer says, hi, Matt. What's your opinion on C.S. Lewis, The Problem of Pain, The Great Divorce? C.S. Lewis is just amazing.
2 thumbs up.
Go check him out. Both of those books are amazing. I love both of them.
There's
really good audio books of those two that you could check out. Nathan Porter says doors for today's masses are being locked in all Melbourne parishes. I'm sorry, that's no good.
I went to a church today to pray Good Shepherd. Not name dropping parishes, but no, I couldn't pray. The doors were locked. The Adoration Chapel was locked, but there was a pretty outside area that I went and prayed at. But they said that everything's closed until April 6th. At their church.
Brianna O'Connell says, do you believe in the validity of Medjugorje? I'm very skeptical of it, given that people who know a lot more about it than me speak negatively about it.
But I think people have had profound experiences there. But
but who cares?
You could have a profound experience.
You have a profound experience in the toilet, in the bathroom. If you're ever in Toronto, we should grab some dinner. Yes.
I had a profound experience.
All right, look, start to wrap up here. I just want to thank everybody for being here. I want to ask you, if you haven't yet.
Is this a Texas thing? People are commenting that I'm obviously from Texas. My mom gave me this shirt. I don't think the rest of the world wears embroidered shirts. Sorry, I've heard a couple of Texas.
Margot, I'm not ignoring your comments. Your comments are just so welcome here, and you are a beautiful human being. It's just your comments aren't questions, so it's difficult to respond to them. Look, I'll say this. Do me a favor and subscribe here on YouTube. We're trying to put out really great content. A lot of it's really high quality, and we want YouTube to have to share it with you. So please hit subscribe and that bell button. That would really help us out. Also, if you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/MattFrad. Uploading a lot of great content these next few weeks. As in addition, a few things we're talking about. Catching foxes tonight, and then me and Cameron Bertuzzi from Capturing Christianity are thinking about a meeting every month to discuss a particular point of Catholic doctrine. And so we're going to be kind of going back and forth, disagreeing, arguing, but it'll be just for patrons. And so if you want to get that and a bunch of other content, be sure to check that out. I just want to say thanks again. God bless you. And yeah.